Perfect. Okay, so today is Ignite Elementals 5 buyer appointments. That means we have 3 more sessions and we will be completely finished with all of the brand new Ignite 2.0. And with all of this, I definitely want to be sure to get y'all's feedback on what you thought, especially if you've taken Ignite before. Formerly, we were in the room together for 4 hours a day for 12 sessions in a row. I much prefer this format of 1 hour at a time. You can kind of knock it out. We have really good conversations. I like it being first thing in the morning. And then, you know, we can move on with our day and our activities. So I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to more with you guys. And Miss Vicky in the future will be taking these over. So there's been a lot of great exercises. So buyers, we talked about sellers yesterday. Today we talked about buyers. And we know that there are 2 things that successful agents do every day. Guys, what are they?
Grow and run
your business, run your business.
Grow your business and run your business. And I told you guys, Vicki actually has it on her calendar, like written out in her phone. Segments, the morning and then the afternoon, grow and run. And I love that. And that's actually the model from the MREA, right? So today with the buyer appointment, we're going to be in our grow side and we'll be making buyer presentations and getting buyer listings. And why is it important to get a signed buyer agreement before working with a buyer?
So that they don't get all the information from you and then run off and use it either for themselves or get another agent. You've done all this work for nothing.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly right. Well, another one is to solidify that relationship, that it's a professional relationship. And that does prevent you from doing a lot of work and then them not having, you're loyal to them, but they're not necessarily loyal to you. So that changes the relationship. And you can spend a lot of time and money working with someone who chooses just to use another agent. So the agency agreement is very important to make sure that that is filled out and signed. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is talk about what are the goals of the buyer consultation appointment. What do you find out in the consultation?
If they're actually ready to buy, if they're A, B, or C.
Right, you're able to qualify them and you can discover the wants, needs, and values that they have. You're able to deliver your value proposition and you're setting expectations on how you're going to work with them. If you don't do that, right, then you're at their mercy, right? And think about it like this. I think there's a lot of people who kind of go, oh, well, you know, I'm going to do what they want to do. This is your profession. This is your business. And so it's your responsibility to set the expectation and the standard. If you let each client you have set the expectation and standard, you're going to be all over the board because some people like it like this. Some people like it like this. Some people do. And I'm not saying you shouldn't accommodate and have high customer service, yet you want to be the steady middle ground, the standard, and have them respond and you communicate very well what you expect and what value you can provide, right? And that's why we're creating this now so you don't get later in your business going, oh my gosh, I wish that I would have in the front part, right? We're building those foundations now. So what do you need to do to prepare for a meeting, a consultation that will accomplish discovering their wants, delivering your value, and closing with a signed representation agreement? What do you need to do to prepare? We talked about some of the things in Spark, remember, when we used the
buyer lead sheet?
That's exactly right. So you have that conversation, you're preparing your buyer presentation, and then we're practicing the scripts, how we're going to close the deal. We're going to practice that, and we're going to make sure that we have that firmly taken care of. All right, so here is set the appointment. This is our lead generation model funnel, and it's the new one from the new the second MREA that will be coming out sometime. A buyer is someone who is able, ready, and willing to purchase a new home. They will be under contract in a matter of weeks, and you want to use the buyer lead sheet from the toolkit to classify and qualify them. Once you've cultivated a lead, you now have a buyer. You see how they come from the top and go down into the cultivate relationship and then into appointment? Now they're in your sales pipeline. So the safe option when you're scheduling a buyer consultation typically would be in the office. Now we're still kind of under safer at home, not bringing a lot of people around, that sort of thing. So you're still able to do that face to face, via Zoom, via FaceTime. I think that Zoom is really good because you could pull up your presentation, or you could pull up some things while you're discussing and sharing your screen. But you want to be able to have it in a professional environment so that you're able to see each other and you're able to communicate clearly, and you're not just out running to show properties, right? You don't want to just go jump in a car and show properties with people. You need to see them. I mean, really, you need to see them. And here, anytime you're going to show properties and you bring them to the office when all of this is over and we're back to normal, it's our office policy to have them make a copy of their driver's license. And you can just say it's our brokerage policy, because if something were to happen, we would need to know you are out with this individual. We also have forewarn on our phones where you can put in someone's phone number and it'll pop up a little bit of their history. If there is any like red flags or danger signs, that will show up on forewarn. So make sure that you have that app downloaded too, because you want to be very safe. And when someone's calling about seeing a property, you really don't know them. So just be extremely safe as you're doing this. All right, so now we're going to talk about setting the appointment. The goal of the buyer consultation is to get a signed agreement. So you're setting the tone for closing the buyer, and it begins with the invitation for the buyer consultation appointment, right? You have the conversation, you use your buyer lead sheet, you're asking all the questions, filling them in, and then you would follow up just like we did. And the buyer lead sheet prompts you, would you like to have an appointment at this time or this time? And right now we're doing those virtually, right? Would you like to have a web conference at this time or this time? And you want to make sure who's on that call. All the decision makers. Right? So maybe the first conversation, you're doing the buyer lead sheet and it's just one or the other has called you, maybe one of the spouses. Now, when you have the consultation appointment, you need to have both people on the call. Okay? And if anybody has trouble setting up Zoom, I think at this point you are all professional Zoomers. You just reach out and we'll be able to help you, walk you through that. It's really simple to set up an account. You all have probably already done it because your names are popping up here. And then send out a link. You just schedule a meeting and send out the link to somebody, and all they have to do is click it. So it's really easy to do. So there are some scripts in your script book that came with the toolkit here. Let me look and see. Let's see. I don't think I printed out the elementals. That's what I didn't do. I didn't print out the elementals toolkit. Let me see if I can pull it up right here and find our scripts so that we can go over them together. Okay, I cannot minimize. That's fine. You guys will just bear with me. The other session I was like, well, maybe I'm missing a page, but it's because I think there's a Spark toolkit and then an Elementals toolkit. Let me make sure. Yes, indeed. Okay. You guys cannot see my screen, right? Let me go so you can see my web page. Okay, so here's the elementals. There's two different little toolkit packets. They're both in the Google folder. And so one says Spark and one says Elementals. So here's the Elementals. You guys can see? Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The 411 buyer lead sheet, exactly what we're talking about. You're getting all the pertinent information, some of the qualification questions. Have they, spoken and worked with another realtor? A way to track your activities. The open house countdown again. I know that was in the Ignite one as well. And then this has some safety. We were talking about that from open houses, making sure that you are extremely safe when you're doing open houses. And there's the open house sign-in sheet if you prefer to use the sign-in. Okay, okay. Here's that guide to selling your home, which I think we're going to reference here in just a few minutes. Let's get to the script so we can talk through those. That walkthrough form. Here we go. Okay.
Katie, you say you have not sent that out?
Yeah, I have. I just did not print it out. It's all in that Google folder, and I just reshared the link to it yesterday. That says all of the docs. When we talked about the new documents, it's called KW Montgomery Agent Information, and it's got a bunch of folders in there. One of them is Ignite, and it has everything in there from each session, from each week. This is under Elementals. Okay, so I'm looking for 18. Thank you guys for being patient. To make you go cross-eyed. Okay. Here we go. Scheduling the buyer consultation appointment. See if I can make that any bigger. All right, so a buyer calls on the property. Property at 123 Maple Street is listed at $249. Let's schedule an appointment to see if 123 Maple Street is the perfect home for you. Would today at 4 or Saturday at 10 be better for you? Great, let's meet virtually via Zoom while we are out, and you can also review other properties on the multiple listing service that you may be interested in if Maple Street isn't right for you. Does that work for you? So this is saying someone called and wants to know information. So if you've got phone duty, if you've got a listing or something, they're calling, and instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to get my car and show you, it's, hey, let's have a consultation appointment, right? You guys get the difference there? Okay. And then if somebody is referred to you, I'd like to invite you to come into my office. Again, I'd like to invite you to come to a Zoom appointment so we can discuss what you're looking for in your next home and use my MLS to review properties. This way we can look together. And now with Zoom, sharing your screen, you literally could do the same thing you're doing at the office where you're sharing it on the big screen. You're just literally looking at what's going on. We can work together and make the most of your time. You're always pointing it back to them. I can use the tools I have to find the best match for you and check for any contingencies and any other details that would not be apparent just from the visit alone. That's really important, especially since we're in the days of Zillow, so somebody's going to call on something and you may have already encountered this, and it's going to be listed on Zillow, but it's actually closed in MLS or contingent in MLS or closed 6 years ago. So you want to be able to put that into a sentence where you can check. You're going to use the MLS to check for any contingencies or anything that won't be initially apparent on their web search or their drive-by or just even looking at the home, honestly. So what are some conversations you guys have had to set that appointment, or is this something you guys are going to be adding to your systems of working with buyers?
This is something I'll be adding.
Yeah.
I haven't had an opportunity just yet to set up a buyer consultation just yet.
It's a really important step. And that's one of the main things they push in bold when we do it, is having the buyer rep agreement signed, because it doesn't at the end of the day really do anything other than solidify the relationship. Even though someone signs a buyer rep agreement with you, they could go and work with someone else. There's really nothing to stop them. Yet, if you don't have that signed, you're at a higher risk than somebody who does, right? Because then when they are asked by another professional agent in our community, are you working with another realtor and have you signed something? They have to say yes. So that's why it's really important to solidify that relationship. Okay. And you're going to start incorporating this segment of scripts as well as you're doing your script practice weekly, right? We have the Ignite ones, that's more kind of basic lead generation. I'm in real estate. This digs deeper into the agency relationships and the listing and buyer consultations. Okay, let me get back to the PowerPoint. Uh-oh, I lost y'all. Okay, so we want to prepare for the buyer presentation. And with that, we want to create a presentation, and we want to use designs if you don't already have a buyer presentation. So it provides, again, 2 templates, one like the listing, similar to the listing one. And it is a tool to guide the conversation and provide the client with tangible demonstration of your expertise as a real estate agent. During the module today, we're going to discuss the purpose of each section of the buyer presentation. We will not go over every individual page or how to edit it, but this afternoon you should go into designs and explore. It's very easy to click and edit and all that. So we have a lot of resources if you're looking for more ways to do that. So in your buyer presentation, there's some key components. And so this helps the buyer build confidence in your value proposition. You can make changes by adding, deleting, or reordering any of the sections. What resources do you have that can help you prepare this? What do you think you would need to have as you're preparing this?
I would say access to the MLS.
Yes, you're going to need to know market stats. You're going to need to know, look at your buyer lead sheet and make sure everything you covered in there is also covered in here. And then going back to remember when we were in Spark talking about what the buyer wants, right? What do they want? They want to buy a home for the least amount of money in the shortest amount of time, or in their time frame. Right? So as long as we keep it focused on those things, then we will be successful. Let's see. This is the table of contents, and it lines out what's going to be in the buyer presentation. The first is their dream home, because what's everybody looking for? Their dream home. Exactly. So this sets the tone for your relationship with them. It opens by asking the buyer to explain their dream home. Visualize your dream scenario for buying your home. See, that doesn't even say visualize your dream home. It says visualize your dream scenario. Okay, so that's 2 different things, right? Because some people are not quite at the place where they can purchase their dream home, yet there is a nice scenario that they're envisioning as this process goes through. So what's the one thing that has to happen to make that dream scenario a reality? How can I make that happen for you? Why is it important to you? Now, if we could just add one more thing to make the process even better, what would it be? Why is that important to you? why would you not remove this page? I would say definitely do not remove this page.
Because
It's
you really want,
valuable. Go ahead.
because you want to know the things that they're looking for in a home, and these questions guide you to know what it is that's important to them in finding this home.
Right. It points back to that motivation. And then why are you asking the same question 3 times at the end?
Almost to make sure you get the same answer, and if you don't get the same answer, you might get a second choice, so you'll know if you can't exactly find number one, at least you heard something else.
Right. And it brings you closer to them.
Right.
In that relationship, because you're digging deeper. You always want to dig deeper, and you're finding out as much information. You're almost like a detective at this point, because the more information you find out right now, the better the whole transaction is going to be. Right? Okay. It's we said this sets the tone, and it uncovers the buyer's values and motivations. Okay. And if you're always able to change the images here. They've got really great stock images, so you can choose a different one or leave it. Honestly, the less I have to edit, the better I'm going to be, and they're not going to be looking at all of ours to compare the differences. So it's going to look really nice. So I would just, as much as you don't have to edit, not edit yet. It's completely editable. Okay, so build your preference profile. This is the preference profile, and so they can, you're asking more questions and uncovering expectations that they have. Okay, have you considered who my main contact will be? What timeline would you like to strive for? Have you looked into getting pre-approved for a home loan? Have you thought about the price range you're comfortable with? If I found a home today that checked all of your boxes, could you see yourself making a move sooner rather than later? Okay. And then what's your favorite way to receive information or updates? What's the best way to reach you? As updates arise, how do you prefer to be notified? Guys, y'all are taking notes as you're having the conversation. And this looks so good. And this is an image of an image, but it would look so good just pulled up on your screen. And I think the video conference, y'all, it's going to save y'all a lot of time. And you may want to just kind of keep that, at least for the consultation portion of it. Because, Vicki, you can tag onto this, but you'll end up getting in like a rush with somebody. And it's more of a, I don't want to say it's a waste of time, but it kind of ends up being a waste of time. Right? So this is going to be really great, y'all. If y'all integrate this into your system that you're building for yourself and your business right now, it's going to be a great time saver, because you know what, this is just the natural next step after that conversation is we have a video consultation, one-on-one consultation, and then we're able to create and curate your list of homes you want to see, and then we're able to go see your homes, right? So me personally would say, regardless of what COVID does, this is going to stay a video conversation. It looks so good. You don't have to drive. You don't have to drive. You're not, it literally can take, and you can, I think you can close it faster, because you can say, you know what, we'll just take a few minutes. You don't have to drive anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere. We can do it one-on-one. And with the virtual backgrounds now KW has to use those, although each one of you guys look completely fine, I'd be happy to have a business conversation with you. And pulling this up on your screen, it's going to look very valued right now. I saw a thing on the NBC Nightly News last night where they were talking about real estate going virtual and able to help the client. So this is really going to go ahead and set you guys apart by just integrating it now. Plus, it's a time saver later. That's just my 2 cents. All right, so you're also taking notes as everybody's talking, as they're answering these questions. And what they're saying is really important to you. So you want to be nodding along, giving a little feedback. Yes, of course. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Letting them know that you're paying attention. And then the preferred method of contact, making sure all of your notes, but that preferred method of contact goes back into your command contact, right? So if they've said, I want email or text, there's a place to note that in their contact card. So every time you pull up their contact, it shows you exactly how they want to be contacted. And then you want to create tags, right, inside of command based on the information.
Hey, Katie.
Yes.
Real quick, this here that you're showing us right now, is this something that we're going to have set up where they see it just like we're looking at it right now? Is that what you're saying? Or
yeah, you
are
can
we
very
just seeing
easily
it?
do that. So you can share your screen.
Mhm.
And actually, after we do this session today, I can stop recording and then we can go further into some like Zoom tips, if that would be helpful to you guys, so that y'all can see kind of a little bit. And I know sometimes joining a call is a lot different than hosting one. So I'll make sure that you guys, I'll show you some tips after this to how to make sure that it is on your screen for sure. But it's real simple. So once I show you, you're going to completely be like, oh, but yeah, we'll do that. So next is the home wish list. Explain the home wish list. Explain this to them, and you're asking them for their ideal home. You can customize these questions however you wish to. Again, what is all this doing? What are these questions doing?
I think it's helping to zero in on the best home for them. Because a lot of times you might not be able to get them the perfect home, but if you can just get like their top 5 things, I guess, it'll really make a difference in searching.
It shows you how important their needs and wants are, because you're asking very similar questions over and over and over and over again. And when you are helping someone buy a home, the reason you're doing that is because maybe their initial conversation, they were thinking this. And then if you just go out and search for that from the first conversation, you go out like looking for homes, and then you bring them back, but they've said, oh, well, actually it needs to be more like this. You can get into this like back and forth. But if you sit here and you spend time, one, it builds that relationship. You're getting to know them a lot better. They're getting to know you a lot better. You're having the opportunity to communicate with them. And then so when the time comes to find them, you really have a really good understanding of what they're looking for. Because the more they're discussing something and how these questions are asked, what are non-negotiables? No one has probably ever asked them that. They're just thinking, I'm gonna go buy a house. And they watch HGTV and they think, you know what, I'm just gonna go do it, right? And sometimes the image that they have of what that looks like is very different than what it actually is in real life. So who's going to be living in the home? Let's list the adults, children, and the pets. Why is that important? Because you can find them their perfect home and there's no yard, but they have 3 bull mastiffs, right? You need to make sure if there's a surprise mother-in-law that's going to come in and she needs a wing all of a sudden, like you need to know all of that. You know, the non-negotiables. What are top 5 needs? What preference do you have for the year it was built? You know, are you looking for a historic home? Are you looking for a newer home? Do they understand the difference? Right? There's a lot of difference in upkeep with a historic versus a newer build. Do you want a house move-in condition, or are you willing to do some work? That sets that expectation of when they find the home and they get that inspection or repair list and they think, oh, the seller's going to do all this. Well, you can bring them back to this conversation. You know, we can't ask the seller to make this completely renovated for this purchase. You said you were willing to do some work. So which projects do you want to tackle, right? When people visit your home, what do you want it to say about you? Well, that's an interesting question, and I don't know that it necessarily will help you search their home on MLS, yet it ties that relationship together. You're getting to know each other really well. Are there any specific features that would make your next house feel like home? Will you require accessibility options? That's important too, because they may have told you about the mother-in-law or the grandma, but they may not have said, oh, well, she's in a wheelchair, or she's on a walker and she can't be on the second floor, or, you know, you have to dive deep. And I would honestly not change these questions, and maybe not every consultation you'll get through every question, but I think it's really important to keep this. And this, do you see why this keeps you focused? Right? Because you're guiding the conversation, and when you ask questions, you're in control of the conversations. When you're answering and commenting, you're not in control. And it's very important that you set the tone and the standard, that you're in control, because you're the expert helping them, right? You're the one in lead.
And one thing, can I put in there, Katie, when you say asking about accessibility, be sure you ask it that way.
Yes.
Because you cannot ask, like if somebody is handicapped, because that's in the FD, what is it, Katie? FD?
Fair housing. You cannot,
Yeah.
you cannot,
FHA.
you don't want to use any terminology at all about age, sex, race, demographic,
right,
economic. It's all, that's why it says, do you have any accessibility needs? Because they then answer the question. And
okay, I just wanted
you don't have to make any comments about, oh, okay. You can just say, okay, and take a note. Because that means, and you don't want to go, oh, this home has a second floor, blah, 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 and you can't get up there, right? Yet, as you're looking at homes, that's going to be very important to keep in mind, right? Just be very careful how you respond when someone is telling you their situation. I would say that. Keep it very professional. And you guys would. I'm not worried about y'all. I'm really not. So you guys are very professional people. All right, next, you're demonstrating your expertise in the market. How cool does this look? You can literally take the neighborhoods that they're looking in, or just some general Montgomery ones, right? If you haven't narrowed it down based on where they really want to go, you could just take some Montgomery neighborhoods, and you just, in designs, click on it and it pulls all the info, and you would just put it in here. We'll walk through that too. That it just looks so good. It shows the average listing price, average selling price, average price per square foot, days on the market, active listings, total pendings, and it just connects. Our AI, our technology just connects it. So all you have to do is select the neighborhood you want, and it pulls it up in a nifty little map like this. So what neighborhoods might you want to include if someone has not told you specifically where they're looking to buy in our area? What would you pull up? It's a trick question, because if you did your buyer lead sheet, you kind of have already asked them what price point they were looking at, right? So you could just maybe pick two in that price point as an example, right? And then as you drill it down, you could upload or show them the neighborhood snap for the neighborhoods they're looking at. And they'll get that in the neighborhood monthly nurture. As soon as you put them on that with that neighborhood they're looking in, they're going to start getting that. At this point, if you've done a buyer consultation, they need to be on the bi-weekly. They don't need to wait 28 days to get the next one. You need to go ahead and it'll send them more information. And you want to be sure, this is a great time to say, you want to download my app, because this lets you explore any neighborhood, right?
So would it also be a good idea? I'm sorry, okay.
Go ahead.
So if we knew that they have children and they want to stay in that same school zone, I guess. So I guess we could also pick neighborhoods in that.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You could look at the school zone and pick some neighborhoods just as an example. I would not take this out because this looks so dang cool, y'all. It really highlights our tech, which really highlights the value you're able to provide. And then as you're sending out and they're able to look in the neighborhood, because the app is tied to Nextdoor, they're able to see like park access and, what is it, like pedestrian areas and restaurants and things like that, that they're going to get more excited about their move. And so that will help you create some motion around the urgency to do it, right? So that's why this technology is here. Let's see. Okay.
And Katie, can I say something?
Yeah.
Speaking of our app, I was playing in Command last night in campaigns and design. Somehow I ran up on the campaigns, and there's an app campaign with a video that'll post to your Facebook page. But you have to have the business page, which is probably why my friend you got this invite to my business page last night. Because I have one scheduled to go out today at 10 to introduce my app.
Yay! Yay. Kathy the other day was talking about the video integrating into the app and all of that. So I guess you found that. I had not heard that.
I don't know how I stumbled upon it. I was playing with it, and I thought, oh, this was interesting. Let me schedule one.
I'm excited to see that, Shacarol. That's awesome. See, just play with it. You're not going to break it. Just play with it. And there's new stuff you're going to find out before I do. So, like, that's awesome. That's really cool. I love that. You're now the tech investor. I'm just kidding. Oh, but too, on this, so if you have already purchased and sold in a specific neighborhood, these would be the areas that you would feature, right? This is the one I'm familiar with. And so this is the ability to show that as well. Okay, you can highlight those neighborhoods. So the next page explains the process. It gives them kind of a timeline of how the home buying process works. And so, making sure that they know what does number 1 do? What does number 1 do? It's really important for you.
Is that where you kind of get you ask all these questions and then you get them to go ahead and sign that buyer agreement?
Partner with an agent. It sets that expectation that there will be an agency agreement signed, right? Because you can do all the other things, but the first step is partnering with an agent. Absorb their local insight. Get to know the neighborhood. See what's about to hit the market. Gain access to off-market properties. Review market averages. Complete the needs assessment. This all sets the tone of exactly what we're doing. And for some reason, when people see it in print, they just think, oh, that's amazing. You can add anything you want to this. Yet again, I really like the way that KW, they did all of this to make it very simple on us, right? And get pre-approved for a loan. Understand what you can afford. Determine your monthly payment. Because sometimes they can get pre-approved for, a crazy amount, yet that's not what they want their payment to be. So it's 2 conversations, and you need to be able to have that conversation. Understand the debt ratio. Prepare for escrow. Obtain your pre-approval letter. That's, Shacarol, we've been talking to you about your client and their lender. You have to have a lender that you, the agent and the customer, everybody can have a conversation together. We're all on the same team. We're all ready to, achieve what's going to happen. We have Keller Mortgage, and it's honestly not something our market center has done a really great job of embracing. Yet they have the 0+ loan, and that can, 1, save your buyer money up front, and 2, if their price point is over $150,000, they can get $1,000 back. It's a great value, because right now, even we're talking about Shacarol's client, that her client could save $2,000, right? Just off the books. So I'm going to have them come maybe to one of our business meetings and have a conversation with what it looks like, how to use Keller Mortgage. It's a really great lead generation tool for you guys. It's a really great value add for you guys with your clients. Nobody else can use Keller Mortgage unless you're a Keller agent. So that's going to really set everybody apart, and it brings a lot of value to the clients themselves. So, but all this is doing is setting that expectation and building the confidence, because it's here in writing. Why wouldn't they partner with an agent? It makes it a lot less awkward when you say, okay, now here's the agreement to sign so that we can solidify this and we can move forward. it allows you to have the conversation a little bit easier, you know, because they're kind of like, where are they coming up with this information sometimes when you try to have the conversation about them. And at this point, you've had a phone conversation and now you're having a face-to-face meeting. You haven't known them very long in some cases. This is a great way to build that confidence and that trust in you and what you're saying. All right, here is a little bit, it's a page that's optional. It's Keller Mortgage. If you're using Keller Mortgage, you must also include this, that we're affiliated, our company is affiliated with Keller Mortgage, and that we'll make sure that it's filled out properly in here. But it basically just says it's a business relationship between Keller Mortgage and Keller Williams Realty, and there's estimate of charges and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just saying that it is from the same company and this affiliated business, but that's where the value comes from. So nobody should really have a problem with getting $2,000 back, or some people get $5,000. So, you know, there should not be a problem there. It's just by law, you have to state that there's a affiliated business relationship. All right, here's about you. This is all about you. We've developed your value proposition in Spark. And so now is where we put the pen to the paper and make it look super awesome and fancy. This same format will also be in the listing presentation. We didn't walk through that one so thoroughly, yet you want to make sure your value proposition is out there. This would also be a good one just to download the one page and make it some of your social media content. Just an idea. You want to see how many times you can use one thing, right? Don't recreate the wheel a bunch of times. So this, if you are a new agent, you can use our office numbers, right? We've been in the business 10 years. I don't know exactly how many clients served, but I'll mark to look this up so that you guys can fill it out. And then, let's see, I'll put that out this afternoon. What are some other numbers you could track and present as part of your value proposition? Your online ratings. I've been 5-star Google review, Yelp review, heck, some people do the Zillow thing. Like, however, you've got some credentials that you may have, how many families you've helped, you yourself have helped, right? You could put it like that. How many homes or how many homeowners you've created. There's a lot of ways to say this so that it looks really professional and interesting and engaging, right? You don't want to just say, I sold this much, right? It's clients served, it's homeowners created, it's, you know, that's how many families we've helped, that sort of thing. Since we're near the military bases here, if you're former military, you want to put that here. If you're active military, if you have a military certification, if you've got any sales certifications, you want to make sure all of that is here. And as you can see, guys, it's not 5 pages. And really, these 3 paragraphs work for each one of you guys. We just need to get the market center's numbers. So you just want to create this so that it's an easy, they can see, oh, here's their value proposition, right? Okay, now this buyer presentation can be, and they're suggesting you send it over to them prior to the appointment. And we talked about that for the listing, do like a pre-listing. So this would be a pre-buyer. It's the same presentation, yet you send it over in PowerPoint or whatever PDF first so they can look through it. And then when they may have the opportunity to think of some questions or whatever, and so by the time that y'all have the consultation, you're sharing your screen, it doesn't necessarily take as long to get through each segment of it. Let's see. All right, the buyer presentation. let's go back to our other screen and look at that script so that I can speak to what you guys will see. Okay, so here is the welcome to the buyer presentation. You guys see my screen now, right? Okay. Mr. Miss Buyer, thank you for letting me help you. My goal is to give you a 10+ customer experience. To do that, I'd like to get a clear idea on what you're looking for in your new home. So with your permission, I'd like to spend the next 20 to 30 minutes exploring what the right home for you would be like. We'll call this your 10+ home. With your permission, I'd like to write notes as we go along so that I will remember everything that's important to you. It may seem like a lot, but I'd rather ask you 500 questions now and show you the right 5 homes than ask you 5 questions and waste your time showing you the wrong 500 homes. Does that work for you? Yeah. Let's see. And then when you're closing, here's a script to ask for the business. So this is a simple way to obtain that agreement, right, that we were talking about. All I ask in exchange for my superior customer service promise is that you agree to work with me exclusively. Does that sound fair? Okay, can we sign and shake on that? But we're not shaking, we're, but that's where you can just have them sign it if you were face-to-face. In this instance, you can send it over via AuthentiSign. Go ahead and practice doing that. Don't practice on your first person, okay? Just go ahead and have that practice. Here's another one. What we're going to do now is sign the buyer representation agreement, which puts me to work for you. You're giving me the tool I need to represent you in your purchase. With this tool, I have the opportunity to negotiate for you and get you the best deal. And the best deal is important to you, isn't it? Perfect. Then let's do the right thing, sign the buyer representation agreement, and put me to work for you. Here's another one. Can you see how it would benefit you to have a professional looking out for your best interest as you search for the best home to negotiate the best deal? Great. This form allows me to represent you and to look out for your best interest. Here's how we take care of that. You just need to okay this agreement right here. Here's another one. We call this agreement our loyalty agreement, where I agree to be loyal to you and take no action detrimental to your best interest. It's also a reciprocal agreement in that I ask you to give me your loyalty in exchange for me working nonstop to find you the best home at the lowest price in the least amount of time. What do you guys think about those scripts?
I know I use one. I kind of use the third one when I was my last client, because loyalty right now is, and trust is a big thing with everybody. I know with me. So when you say I'm loyal to you, I just need you to reciprocate the same thing. They're kind of like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, I love that. And you're just going to choose the one that makes sense to you. And you don't have to use these, guys. This is really just an opportunity to see a really great way of phrasing it. And the reason how these scripts come to be is because they're what's working at a high level with, really successful agents. Okay. So you can say whatever you want to say as long as it gets that buyer agreement signed. That's the whole point of closing for the exclusivity. I would pick one of these. They're very easy. I mean, no more than 2 sentences to remember. Say it over and over and over and over and over and over until you feel confident with it. You have it internalized, and then it may not come out exactly like the words here. The point is, though, that you know what you're saying and you know how to get the close, right? Because that's where I think a lot of people struggle. Is, you can have the conversation, you can have the appointment, you can have the consultation. It's sometimes you kind of let it walk away and you don't know where you are. You always want to walk away from any appointment, any meeting with the next step. So the next step is, after this conversation, I'm going to send you the buyer representation agreement to have you sign it electronically so that I can get to work for you. I really like that. I can get to work for you, right? And it's putting it back on them. I'm here to work for you.
I kind of, because I know these clients that I have, and I kind of put in a fun way. I say, these are our marriage vows.
Yeah, I like that.
These are our vows. I promise to do this for you if you promise to stay loyal to me. These are our vows. And they laughed and they loved it. So, and they signed it.
I really like that, Shacarol.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so let's see what our next stop share. Okay, closing on that. And these scripts also, guys, give you the ability to handle the objections. So if someone were to say, I don't feel like I need to sign that for you to work for me, how can you easily handle that objection?
To ensure that they can get the most out of me, let's sign the deal. Because with you signing this, I'm also obligated to you.
Right.
To get the most for you.
Good job. Shacarol's gonna be our script master, guys. She's got it. But you're just reiterating.
I've gone through this, so
right. You're just gonna anytime there's an objection, you're gonna reiterate what you've already said. Hey, TJ.
Hey.
Wild man. You're just gonna reiterate, right? This is how we begin this journey with this sign. And you can say, all of my buyer clients sign a buyer agency agreement. And that's a true statement because they're not your buyer client until they sign an agreement, right? So just make it part of the process. Don't really make it optional. And things will go a lot smoother for you.
Because the question that I got was we didn't have to do this with our last realtor. And I told them, I said, I understand they may not have been with KW, but in order for me to be required to you or to be yours, this is like signing. This is when I brought up this is like signing. This is like with signing our vows to each other.
Well, exactly, and honestly, that last realtor you used wasn't necessarily loyal to you if they weren't willing to sign a buyer agency agreement. Now, in different states, it's not even a thing. So you got to be careful about saying something like that. But just to say, it's our policy here, and it's my procedures as I'm making sure that we are in an agency relationship, and I am being very loyal towards your needs and making sure that your needs are met. And this is how we do that. It's simple. It's just a signature. I mean, you don't pay anything. You literally just sign it. All right. So what are our ahas today? What are we thinking, feeling? What actions are we going to take? What tools are we going to use? I want to hear from you guys.
I'm going to use the Zoom more.
Yeah, I like that. Anybody else?
And definitely going to go in today and actually just have create my consultation and then have it on my Google Drive, and so I can already have it ready, prepared. I've never really had an official one, and it's all kind of like so I'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah, this is how you guys are going to be so ready for a big business, is having all of these systems lined up so that you can literally take on more business because things run smoother.
And right? Katie, I must say this about them. I am so proud of what it is that they're doing, because when we have a class and it's things that they can go in and play with to learn of, they really are doing it. And I'm telling you, Shacarol just blew my mind yesterday with me and her talking about her deal and the way she negotiated it. It was just, they are really doing their thing. And I'm proud of them.
I am too. I love that. I think honestly, this is a perfect time for everything to come about. because, you know, we have our plans, right? And we have our timeline, and then things don't necessarily line up. And I know that we wanted the PC program and all this stuff to kind of happen much earlier. Yeah, I think you guys are a wonderful group, and y'all are about to show this market center and this market what's up. And I am so thrilled. And that's all your motivation, your determination, and you're doing it, right? I love it.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you, but we could not do it without you guys. I think I've called Miss Vicky out about at least 6 times yesterday. I called her like almost at 9 o'clock. Like, Miss Vicky, I'm scared. Hold my hand.
Yes, but you know, that's okay. And I'm just so thankful that I don't have all the knowledge, but the things that you're bringing me is even teaching me some things, and even showing me why I had such a hard time on my first deal. I mean, it was just, I learned a whole lot with my first transaction, and now I see why, and I'm thankful. And I'm here for you all. And I mean, even with, you know, even if they're not working on something, still just learning, going in and playing with the system. So it's really good, and I'm thankful for y'all.
Oh, I love you guys. I cannot wait to see y'all on the PC board. So that's going to be exciting.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
a little healthy competition. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. All right, guys. So that wraps up today. I'm going to stop the recording, but you guys hang on and we'll do some Zoom tips.